Good morning, everyone. Till our last class, we have seen a series of transforms. First, we have discussed about Fourier series. Then we have discussed about Fourier transform. Then we have discussed about this thing, discrete time Fourier transform. Sorry, after Fourier transform, we were talking about discrete Fourier transform. Then discrete time Fourier transform. Okay, then we went to DFT, and from DFT we looked into how to implement DFT using the FFT algorithm. Okay, so what is the thing in all these transforms? All these transforms, they are able to analyze both energy signals and power signals. Okay, but if any of the signals, they are neither energy nor power signals, so none of these transforms, they are able to process this kind of signals. Those signals which are neither energy signals nor power signals, this Fourier series, Fourier transform, discrete Fourier series, discrete time Fourier transform, DFT and FFT, they are not able to process the signal. Also, the Fourier series and Fourier transform, they were able to handle the continuous time signals. Okay, whereas the discrete Fourier series, discrete time Fourier transform, and discrete Fourier transform, these algorithms, they were able to handle discrete time signals. Okay, now the question arises that if, as discussed, these signals, these transforms, they are only able to analyze energy signals and power signals. So what about the signals which are neither energy nor power signals? Are there any transform to analyze those kind of signals too? Yes, there are two transforms which we will discuss today. The first one is Laplace transform and the second one is Z transform. Okay, so if you remember, while discussing Fourier series and Fourier transform, sorry, and Fourier transform, we have discussed that Fourier transform, it is a more generalized version of Fourier series. Okay, so Fourier series, it was only able to handle the periodic signals. Okay, whereas the Fourier transform, it is able to handle not only the periodic signals but also the non-periodic signals or aperiodic signals. Okay. Similarly, when we talk about the Laplace transform it is a more generalized version of Fourier transform. Okay, it is a more generalized version of Fourier transform. Sorry, this is LT. So the Laplace transform, it is a more generalized version of the Fourier transform. Now, just now we have seen that Fourier transform, it is able to handle the energy signals and power signals, right? So Laplace transform, it is able to handle energy signals plus power signals plus neither energy neither power signals. That means we can say that Laplace transform is a more generalized version of the Fourier transform. Okay. So while we have generalized the transform, we have extended its capability. Initially, we started with Fourier transform, Fourier series. Then we made a more generalized version, which was Fourier transform, and it was able to handle some more classes of the signals. Now there were some problems which we will discuss in few moments. So due to those problems, we required to have another generalized transform which can analyze the signals which could not be analyzed using the Fourier transform. By the way, I would like to mention over here that Fourier transform, it is one of the robust and commonly used transform. Okay, Fourier transform, it is the robust and most commonly used transform, be it your be it your this healthcare industry, be it your electrical engineering, be it your electronics domain engineering, be it your geology, wherever you want to see, you will find that Fourier transform, it is playing an important role. And we know that what does the Fourier transform does. If we are having a signal xt, it allows us to analyze frequency signal, and this sigma this stands for analog frequency, because slowly we will be going into the digital systems. So this sigma, it is for the analog frequency, and sorry, this omega, and this w type omega, it will be for the digital frequency. Okay, so xt will if we apply the Fourier transform, we go to the frequency domain and we can analyze the signal in the frequency domain, and if we apply the inverse Fourier transform, we get back to the time domain signal. Okay, so which we try to acquire. So this Fourier transform, it allows us to see a signal component which we are not able to see in the time domain signal, which is the acquired signal. Okay, so we are transforming the signal to another domain, we are getting to another domain, and in that domain it is divulging us a more information. Now when we talk about this Fourier transform, In general, we can talk about both analog time and discrete time Fourier transform. Both are having the same properties. So here it will be DTFT or DFT. Why I have written in this fashion? Both omegas I have put. When we talk about DTFT, we have seen frequency domain signal. It is a continuous signal, right? So that's why I have given it analog frequency. So when we go back to the previous domain, it is IDTFT or IDFT. Okay. So all these transform which we have seen, Fourier transform and its inverse Fourier transform, or DTFT and IDTFT, or DFT or IDFT, these transform pairs, they form the one of the interesting transforms which are commonly used and quite regularly used in the analysis of the signals. Okay. Now, coming to the Laplace transform, the Laplace transform, it is applicable for continuous time signal, okay, and its counterpart for the discrete time signals is the Z transform, okay. Just like in the previous transform, Fourier series and Fourier transform, they were applicable to the continuous time signals, and discrete Fourier series, discrete time Fourier transform, discrete Fourier transform, they are applicable for the discrete time signals. Similarly, when we generalize the transform, this Fourier transform to Laplace transform, it is applicable for continuous time signal, and its counterpart is the Z transform, which is responsible for the analysis of the signals and the systems in the discrete time domain. Okay. Now coming to the Laplace transform, we will just start this transform. So what was the need of this transform? I have said that when we talk about Fourier transform, it was only present for a restricted class of signals. Okay, it was only restricted. It was only applicable for a restricted class of signals. Okay. However, there are various growing exponential signals like e to the power at multiplied by ut, where a is greater than 0. For these kind of signals, the Fourier transform was not able to analyze. Okay, so these kind of signals were not being analyzed by the Fourier transform. Further, when we talk about the systems, the systems which are unstable or even marginally stable, they could not be analyzed using the Fourier transform. When we talked about the stability, we talked about Biot stability, bounded input, bounded output stability. So that means if we give a bounded input, we should get a bounded output. But suppose we give an impulse signal delta t, and correspondingly we see that the output signal, it is growing exponentially. We need to analyze this signal using the Fourier transform, but this exponential growth, we have seen that our Fourier transform, it is not able to analyze. So that means the impulse responses of the systems which is growing exponentially, they could not be analyzed. Now, as per the Bibo stability criteria, what we discussed? We discussed that the output, if we give an bounded input, that means we are just giving an impulse signal, impulse input, we should get a bounded output. But here our signal is growing out of bound, right? Right? So this system becomes this unstable systems. Okay. Further, when we talk about marginally stable systems, so what is happening? Suppose for any input signal, delta t signal, impulse input signal, if we get an output signal which is sinusoidal in nature. Okay. So what are these? It is neither growing out of bound, okay, nor it is coming down to zero. What do you mean by the stability? Okay. Say for example, when you prepare for the exams, what happens? When the exam schedule comes, it becomes a stimulus or the input impulse or input impulse signal to you. Consider yourself as the system. Okay. Now what happens? Due to that input impulse, which is your this thing, that examination schedule, what happens? Your entropy increases, and slowly what happens once the exam gets finished off, your entropy or your anxiousness, it comes down to zero and you become normal. So that means you are a stable system, because your entropy, it is trying to come to the zero level. If there are any persons who become too much anxious due to the exam results and all these things, they need some counseling, right? Because we consider those kind of system, because even though we have seized any input, it is still giving some output. So there is some problem with the system, right? So those systems, even though they might not be going very ferocious, but they are showing some uh, what do you call, some stability issues. They are neither becoming very ferocious, nor they are coming down to their ground state. So these kind of systems, they are called marginally stable systems, and Fourier transforms, they are not able to handle this kind of system analysis. Okay. The main reason for this is explained by the fact that Ft is restricted to the imaginary axis in the complex plane. Okay, what is the complex plane? S equal to j omega, where S is the Laplace operator, and the Laplace operator is given by S equal to sigma plus j omega. Okay, so we can see in the Laplace domain, our Ft is present in only one axis. If you look over here in the Laplace operator, we are having a real value and we are having a complex value. Okay. And we are having a complex value. Okay. So we will just discuss about this a bit later about this plane. Okay. Now If we take the operator as e to the power st instead of e to the power j omega, which is present in the Fourier transform, we can solve this problem and we will be able to analyze even the Bibo unstable systems. Okay. So we have taken this assumption and incorporated this factor within the Fourier transform to get an extended transform which is known as bilateral Laplace transform. Bilateral Laplace transform. Okay. If you have any problem in today's class, please try to get your concepts clear today only, because from next class onwards we will be going into these digital signal systems. Okay, designing of the digital systems and all these things. And if your concepts are not clear today, then you may face problem later on. Okay, so please do not hesitate to ask me if you face any problem. Now, coming to the Fourier transform, these two are the Fourier transform pairs which we have already discussed. X of j omega equal to capital of xt integration of minus infinity to infinity xt multiplied by e to the power minus j omega t. This was the Fourier transform, and the inverse Fourier transform was 1 by 2 pi integral of minus infinity to infinity x of j omega e to the power j omega t d omega. Okay. Now, as we were talking about, if the signal xt, it is a going exponential, then what to do? What the researchers suggested, that if we multiply the xt with e to the power minus sigma t, which is basically a decaying exponential where sigma is real in nature, then we can rewrite these equations. Okay, sorry. So we can rewrite this equation ft in this fashion: f of xt e to the power minus sigma t integral of minus infinity to infinity. So xt multiplied by e to the power sigma t, we are just replacing xt with xt multiplied by e to the power sigma t. Okay. So this gives us integral of minus infinity to infinity xt multiplied by e to the power minus sigma plus j omega t dt. Okay. Here f of xt multiplied by minus of sigma t is equal to capital X of sigma plus j omega. Here it was sigma j omega because we were talking, no, sorry. Because we are taking this thing, this component, this j omega. So apart from t, in this case we are having sigma plus j omega. So by the same analogy, we can write down that f of Fourier transform of xt multiplied by e to the power minus sigma t is equal to x of sigma plus j omega. Now this is a new operator which we call the s operator, and we can write it down as x of s. Okay. Similarly, from the second equation, we get over here and we get xt equals to 1 by 2 pi integral of minus infinity to infinity x of sigma plus j omega multiplied by e to the power sigma plus j omega t d omega. Okay. So you can see both these equations, the forward transform, forward Laplace transform, and the inverse Laplace transform, they have been derived from the forward Fourier transform and the inverse Fourier transform. Okay. Now again, let S equal to sigma plus j omega, which is the Laplace operator. If you find out the derivative of d omega, it becomes 1 by j multiplied by ds, and you replace this in the previous equations and you get this Laplace transform and the inverse Laplace transform. Now coming to the Z transform. When we talk about the Z transform, we have already seen that Laplace transform, it is for the continuous time signals, right? We have discussed that Laplace transform is for the continuous time signals and Z transform, it is for the discrete time signal. Now Laplace transform signals, or the continuous time continuous time signals, they are being represented by differential equation, right? Whereas Z transform, they are being represented by difference equation. This is because the discrete time signals, they are being represented in the difference equation system. So just say so say dy by dx in the differential domain, it is equivalent to yn minus yn minus 1, right? So this is a differential equation and this is a difference equation, right? Okay, this should be, I think, yn minus 1 and then this xn minus x of n minus 1. Yeah. Yn minus dy by dx, yn minus y minus y of n minus 1 and xn minus x of n minus 1. So these are the derivative equations in the continuous time and the discrete time domain. Okay. Are you getting my point? Anyone having any problem?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Now, if you see, Z transform can be used to solve difference equations for dt signals, and it is a counterpart of the continuous time signal. CT signals are represented by differential equations, whereas the difference equations are represent dt signals. The output yn for an LTI system may be given by the equation yn equals to hz into z to the power n. Okay. So any output yn is given by this function yn equals to hz multiplied by z to the power n, where hz is equal to summation of n equals to minus infinity to infinity h of n z to the power minus n. Okay, z to the power minus n, right? Now the function hz in the above equation is known as the Z transform of the discrete time signal Hn. Okay. Now if you have to generalize this transform, it is regarded as, the above equation is regarded as xz equals to summation of n equals to minus infinity to infinity x of n z to the power minus n, and this is the equation of the Z transform, which we will be using it very often. Okay, and this equation, it is regarded as bilateral Z transform of Xn, bilateral Z transform of Xn. And if your n, it starts from 0 to infinity, that means we are talking about the causal systems and signals, then it is called unilateral Z transform. Then it is called unilateral Z transform. Okay. And this X1Z is useful to calculate the response of a causal system to a causal input. Okay. Now the relationship between the Z transform and the Laplace transform. If you have an analog signal and if we try to sample it, then that sample signal, it is called X cap t. It can be represented as X cap t, and at the same time it can also be represented in the discrete domain. So summation of n equals to minus infinity to infinity x of nt multiplied by delta t minus nt. So you can see both are same. Both these signals are same. So it is your outlook how you are defining a signal. You can define the same signal as a continuous time signal, which you may say that x cap t, or you can also assume that the signal is discrete in nature. Okay. This comes much more obvious. Suppose you are using a sample and hold circuit to discretize the signal. Okay. So what you are doing, sample and hold circuit, it is nothing but an analog signal. So you are basically processing an analog signal. To an analog signal component system, you have to give an analog input and the output will also be the analog output, right? So if you consider in that way, we can represent a discrete time signal both in the continuous time domain and the discrete time domain, depending upon our need and how we want to represent the other things, right? Now if you take the Laplace transform over here, then we get x cap s is equal to summation of n equals to minus infinity to infinity x of nt multiplied by e to the power minus n st. Okay. Now next, if we compare the bilateral Z transform which is given over here and this Laplace transform equation, because both are in the discrete time domain, right? Both are in the discrete time domain. Then we get the equation Z equals to e to the power st. Okay. But we know that S is equal to sigma plus j omega. Therefore, we can write E equals to e to the power sigma plus j omega t, and then we can break it down into real and the imaginary components. And over here, modulus of Z is equal to e to the power sigma t, and the phase angle is omega t. Right? Now, if we take this further, our sigma, when our sigma is equal to 0, our modulus of Z is equal to 1. Okay, and if we look into the phase component or the Z component, Z is equal to, it becomes e to the power j omega t, which is nothing but cos omega t plus j sin omega t. Now what is this? This is nothing but the equation of a circle. Okay, which is having a radius of 1. Okay, and we are in a complex plane. So we will be having a real component, we will be having an imaginary component. So if you see, we are having a real component, we are having an imaginary component. Okay, and we are having a circle over here whose radius is 1. Right? Now from the Laplace transform, we are having sigma plus j omega. Here also we are having a real component. Here also we are having an imaginary component. Okay. Now this is also a complex plane. Now this is the complex plane and this is the complex plane. Now if you see, the frequency axis, it is the imaginary axis. The frequency component in the Laplace domain, it is present along the imaginary component. However, if you look over here, that is not the case. Then where is our frequency component? Where is our phase component? The phase component is here. This omega t components, right? Now what is these omega, these components? These are nothing but these are angles. These are phase angles. So these phase angles. So where is the frequency component? We will get the frequency component at z equals to 1. When z is equals to 1? Z is equal to 1 when our sigma is equal to 0. Right? So that means if you see, when our sigma is equal to 0, we are on the frequency axis, right? When we are on the imaginary axis, we are having sigma equals to 0. That means we are on the frequency axis on the Laplace transform plane or the S plane, right? Now when sigma is equal to 0, we see that we are getting a circle which is having a radius of 1. So this is the circle, right? Now as we move from this circle, this line where sigma is equal to 0, this circumference of the unit circle is the frequency axis. It is the frequency axis. Sorry, this would be j omega this time. So this unit circle is the frequency axis component of the Z transform. Okay. Now the left hand plane where sigma is less than 0, here left hand plane, it maps within the unit circle. Okay, over here. And when we are in the right hand plane, when sigma is greater than 0, what happens? This Z component, it will be more than 1. So this right hand plane maps to outside the unit circle. Okay, and the frequency axis, it acts on the it is across the circumference of the unit circle. Okay. Now there is another thing. What is the relationship between the Fourier transform and the Z transform? That is an important thing. Now let's see how we can look into that. Say for example, we have talked about Z equals to sigma plus j omega. Okay. Let sigma plus j omega. Okay. This is in the rectangular coordinate. In the polar coordinate, we can write it down as Z equals to R multiplied by e to the power j omega, right? Where R is the radius, right? Now from the equation, Z transform equation, x of z equals to summation of n equals to minus infinity to infinity x of n multiplied by z to the power minus n. Now let's replace this sorry now let's replace this equation and put this equation in this equation, the Z transform equation. Okay, so let's put this equation over here. So what we get, x of r e to the power j omega, it is equals to summation of n equals to minus infinity to infinity x of n multiplied by r e to the power j omega minus of n. Okay, now this is equal to summation of n equals to minus infinity to infinity x of n multiplied by r to the power minus n multiplied by e to the power minus j omega n. Okay, so we can write it down as Fourier transform of x of n multiplied by r of minus, right? Can we write?
Yes, sir.
Can we write or not?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
so this becomes Fourier transform of xn and this thing. So see, everything is interrelated. We started with Laplace transform, relationship of Laplace transform and this thing. But over here we can see that there is a relation between the Fourier transform and the Z transform also. Right? Now, if your R is equal to 1, if your R is equal to 1, then what we get? We get x of e to the power j omega is equal to Fourier transform of xn. Okay, and when is R is equal to 1? R is equal to 1 is this unit circle circumference, right? This unit circle circumference, it is R equals to 1, right? So you can see again, what was the Fourier transform? Fourier transform, we have discussed that it is the basically the frequency axis. Okay, Fourier transform is nothing but we go to the, from the time domain signal we go to the frequency domain signal. So you are having the independent variable as the frequency axis. That means when R is equal to 1 and as you move along the this omega, so what happens? You are moving across the frequency, so which will vary from 0 to 360. In Z transform, there is a limitation of the frequency components. It can only vary from, because it starts with 0 and as the omega increases, it goes on increasing and it again comes to 0, which is 360. So the frequency in the Z transform or the discrete time domain, it can vary. If you want to analyze with the Z transform, it can vary only in between 0 to 360. Whereas in the Laplace domain, it can vary from minus infinity to infinity. So these are some of the components, important components which you should remember. Okay. Now, okay, I forgot one thing in Laplace transform. So I'll be talking about that over here. We were talking about the this Laplace transform. So we said that it can be used for the analysis of the systems. Okay. Now, if you have a system which is given by ht and you give an input xt, you give an output yt, and we know that yt is given by xt convolution of h of t. Okay. Now, if you perform Laplace transform, you get xs, you get h of s, and here you get y of s, which is equal to xs multiplied by hs. Okay. And if you calculate ys, you can go back to the yt, which is the integral, which employs the convolution. Now this it is regarded as the convolution integral. This operation, it is regarded as the convolution integral. This is regarded as the convolution integral, and it is given by f1t convolution of f2t 0 to t f1 tau f2 t minus tau d tau. Okay, so this is the convolution integral. So this is it for today. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Sir, in the first line there, it is z equal to sigma plus j omega.
Yeah.
So is it j or s?
It is S. Oh, sorry.
Yes, sir. S equals sigma plus j omega.
This is S. Sorry. And this would be this analog. The main thing is over here we basically start with this z equals to r multiplied by e to the power j omega, and then we replace the thing in capital XZ.
Sir, sir, R is here e to the power sigma t.
Uh-huh.
Sir, R is the magnitude part. That one is e to the power
Yeah,
sigma
yeah,
t.
yeah. What is this thing? This is basically the modulus of this thing, no? The real component. Here, what we are telling, we are giving in the this rectangular form. This one is in the rectangular form, and we can again just write this down. This is a real number, so we can write it down into r into e to the power j omega t, j omega, considering t is equal to 1. Okay, and phase of z would
Yes,
be
sir.
omega if we consider t equals to 1 second. So anything else? No? So we will
No,
stop
sir.
here
No,
then.